You're listening to the Telltale channel. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. You can find some ad-free, uncensored, complete versions of my videos on my website, owenmorgan.com. All links are in the description. Welcome everybody, thank you for coming. So I should be live on my main channel, Owen Morgan Telltale, and I should be live on my Fireside Chat channel. Now, normally, I wouldn't be streaming on Fireside Chat tonight. Usually it's just streaming on main, but I passed 100,000 subbies today, so I figured on Fireside. So I figured it was worth dual streaming. I figured we'd dual stream, so that's pretty cool. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for subbing. Thank you for coming and hanging out and watching my stupid analyses over stupid people and the stupid things that they do. I think that's pretty interesting personally. But anyway, yeah. Currently we're up to 100,139 subbies. I was gaining 1 per minute for a while there. But anyway, tell you what we're going to do. I'll just jump right into it, get to the point, as I usually prefer people do. We're going to be playing Mario Bros. 3. Super Mario Bros. 3 for the NES originally, but we're going to be playing the All-Stars version just because I like All-Stars better. And I'm not a speedrunner, so I'm just kind of casually going through it. Also, we're going to be talking about Shane Vaughn. While we play Super Mario Bros. 3, there's this guy named Shane Vaughn. You can see him on screen here. This guy is a Trump pastor. He believes that Trump is the Messiah. Now, there's a little bit of lead up that I want to give to you to kind of explain to you where this guy sits on his, religious spectrum, if you will, or whatever. But needless to say, he's completely detached from reality and is convinced that Donald Trump must get a second term. If he doesn't get that second term, his whole theology makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Now, I've talked about this guy a few times before. Some people have probably heard of him, but just in case you haven't, because we got some new people and we've got some old people, let me just show you one of the older clips that gives you a little bit of context for his belief system before we actually watch what's on screen here, which is him melting down over Donald Trump's, I don't even know what. He's being sued right now to try to stop him from being in the election. I think that's what he's complaining about in this video. Let me find the right video. Hang on. Okay, it's wait. Yeah, I believe this is the one. Okay. Here we go. Let me just switch my audio over so you guys can hear. Oh my god. I'm sorry guys. My computer's doing this thing where sometimes I have to restart it. This drives me absolutely batty when this happens. I apologize. I'm just going to just take me a second. I'm just going to restart my I'm not going anywhere. I'm just restarting like the computer I use to show you guys like the video or whatever. While that restarts, we're going to get into Mario Bros. 3. I'm not actually sure exactly how to reset data on this. This is a Nintendo Switch, and I've already played files A, B, and C. I have one new file left. I'm not sure how I erase everything. That's weird, right? Alright, let me just pull up the computer so you guys can see it. And almost. We're getting there. It's coming up. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. We're good. Let me just pull up the videos that I had pulled up just now, which is Shane Vaughn. I apologize. Usually I have all of this stuff set up already. I just discovered that one of my computers is giving me no end of trouble, so okay. This is it, right here. So, just drag this over. Merge. You guys should be able to see now. And here.
This is a Sunday morning.
Yep, you guys can hear it too. Seems a little bit loud. Let me turn that down for you guys. And let me pull up the thing that I wanted to show you guys with Shane Vaughn. That kind of establishes his belief system, so you have an idea of what we're working with here. Where was that video that I just had? Hang on.
Every signer of the deck.
Okay, this is it. This is it. All right, cool. So, as I said, we're going to play Super Mario World 3 or Super Mario Bros. 3 on the Super Nintendo. Just kind of go through and, yeah. And while we do, we're going to talk about Shane Vaughn. So, I got to establish some stuff for you with this guy before we actually watch the absolute nutter buttery that's unfolding right now over Donald Trump's arrest and, you know, indictments out the wazoo and all the other good stuff that's taking place right now. This guy, being a Trump pastor, being somebody that is effectively the member of what I consider to be the Trump church for all intents and purposes, this guy's melting down over all of this stuff. So let me give you a little bit of background on why he's melting down so hard at the fact that Donald Trump is, you know, facing arrest and everything else, okay? So listen to this video from, let's see, 2021. This is early November 2021 when this came out. And he kind of explains his position on Donald Trump and why he's basically a god. Why he's like Jesus, pretty much. Why he's a replacement Jesus, really. Okay, check this out.
Every signer of the Declaration of Independence were descendants of the tribes of Israel.
No.
We can trace it. We know it.
No. It's completely fabricated.
And here's the thing you've got to understand about Israel. Most people think of Israel, when you say the word Israel, they think of Jews. I was a doctor of theology.
No, he wasn't.
I was the youngest ordained evangelist in America at 14 years old.
No, that was Marjo Gortner at 4 years old, but okay.
Wow. I've lived for the Lord my whole life.
No, he was an insurance salesman for a while, life insurance salesman, and he scammed a bunch of old people out of every penny that they owned. He's been to jail. I think I have 3 mugshots on this guy. Went to jail 3 different times, to my knowledge, over an insurance scam, basically where people entrusted him with their personal information. You have to do that from time to time. It's important, right? And this dude was taking their social security numbers and taking out life insurance policies in their name and naming himself as a beneficiary. And when they die, inevitably, which is going to happen sooner rather than later because these people were older, he gets, you know, all the money from this. Of course, he got caught doing this and went to jail for it. I think he spent 4 years in prison for it. Really, 4 years in prison for this scam that he ran. So, like, literally everything he's saying here is nonsense. He didn't live for the Lord his whole life. He was not a doctor of theology. He was not the youngest ordained to anything. Literally everything out of this dude's mouth right now is a lie. But okay. Let's keep going.
And I was dumb as a box of rocks and didn't
first truthful thing out of his mouth so far.
Know it. At 40 years old. Because I thought that a Jew meant Israel and an Israel meant Jew. Until I started studying my Bible, and I found out that the first mention of the word Jew in the Bible is them fighting against Israel.
Okay, so I guess, no, yeah, Israeli and Jewish are not the same. I mean, there were other groups of people that lived in Israel around the time that the Jews lived in Israel. The Canaanites, for example, lived in Israel around that time and were wiped out by the Jews at the time in the area, thousands of years ago. Okay, you're just realizing that there are other people that lived in Israel other than just Jews? All right.
Wow. When you come to understand that Israel is not Jews and Jews is not Israel, when you get that, here's what happens. All of a sudden, and I'll do it real fast.
So right now he's trying to establish the premise that Donald Trump is the Messiah. That's what he's doing right now.
One time, they were one nation. King Solomon died, King Jeroboam, King Rehoboam, there was a split.
Yep.
The Jews, the tribe of Judah, stayed in Jerusalem.
Okay, so he's saying that the people that we know to be Jews today are imposters, and that it's just the tribe of Judah, and that they don't belong in Israel. They have no claim to it or anything. That's what he's saying right now. Deeply, deeply anti-Semitic and historically incorrect position that I don't even know how to start with how wrong this is. But okay.
They kept the Sabbath. That's why they're still identifiable. They kept the Sabbath. That kept them identifiable for these thousands of years.
For the record, there were I think 12 tribes of Israel, and they were oh yeah, by the way, I like to cheat in games. I feel that cheating makes them more fun, so I'm going to use save states. I'm going to step back and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so Israel was a person originally, and he had 12 children. And those 12 children kind of ran different parts of the government that was Israel. So the Levites were like the treasurers, the sons of Levi. And the sons of Asher and the sons of Reuben and everybody, they all had different roles to play in the government, right? That's kind of the idea here. And he's saying that the tribe of Judah was, the only tribe that stayed in Israel after whatever. And all of the other tribes of Israel left, okay?
However, there was 10 tribes that went to the north with King Rehoboam in rebellion. Those tribes crossed over the Caucasian Mountains.
Caucasian Mountains, if you're unfamiliar, are in Russia, basically, or they're in the vicinity of modern-day Russia. So that's where, again, save states, gotta love them. That's where, that's where Middle Eastern people kind of gained lighter skin, was the Caucasus Mountains, the Caucasian Mountains. So he's saying that the Jews crossed over the Caucasian Mountains and gained lighter skin. That's what he's saying here, okay?
They were captured.
I mean, everything he's saying is just complete fabrication. But I don't think I even need to say that, right? I just, I want to put it on record. Wow, I am sucking it. All right, fine. I'll play it the normal way. I'll do what I'm supposed to do instead of messing around. Okay. Anyway, let's keep listening.
Invaded by the Germans. They crossed over the Caucasus. Oh, we out of time. Oh, anyway. So they crossed over. I'll make it real quick. Where they wound up at was the Great British Isles, because the prophecy was that they would go to the Isles of the Sea. And from there, we find those tribes making their way to the United States of America.
Okay, so that's a fundamental piece of the ideology of Trumpism. The belief that Donald Trump is the Messiah is the belief that the Jews left Israel secretly and went to Great Britain and then sailed over to America. And the founding fathers that we know and love, like George Washington and, all of them, they are descendants of modern-day Jews. So they are Jewish, which means, in this guy's mind, in this Trump pastor's mind, it means that Donald Trump, being a descendant of a Jewish person, is capable of making a covenant with Yahweh. Now, the belief is that, boy, it gets super complicated. Again, I love safe states. They're the best. Anyway, the belief is that George Washington came to America as one of the founding fathers and as a Jewish person in his mind, right? And he made a new covenant with Yahweh. And the covenant was to kind of turn America into new Israel. So now, basically, in this guy's mind, Israel is irrelevant because this is new Israel, America. Now, in the Old Testament, we had a description of the Messiah, right? The Messiah, also known as the Son of Man, was supposed to be somebody who came along and eventually took political control of Israel. Oh my God, dude, I am sucking at this. Even with save states, I am sucking. I'm just so bad at this. Why am I bad at this? I used to be good at this back in the day. All right, fine. Anyways, where was I? I'm trying to remember where I was now talking about this. So the idea is that in the Old Testament, the Messiah, or the Son of Man, was supposed to take political control over Israel, and then Armageddon would come after he took political control. He has to be the king of Israel, basically, or the president, the leader. Well, if you're kind of following the train of events here, Donald Trump took control of the political system in America when he became president, right? And this guy believes that Donald Trump was like descended from Jews. He believes that all of the founding fathers were of Jewish descent. So he thinks that Donald Trump is the Son of Man. Now, people believed that Jesus was the Son of Man originally. That's what made him special, was that he was the Son of Man. If he's not the Son of Man, then he's just another guy. There's nothing special about him, right? But he didn't become the political leader of Israel like the Son of Man was supposed to have become. So his followers said, okay, he'll be back. He'll be back. Just wait. We'll see. We'll see. He'll be back. And we're just going to hang out and wait until he comes. That was the whole thing. In fact, Jesus' followers believed that he would be back in their lifetime. They thought he'd be back in like 5 years, in the next 5 years. Well, he never came back, right? But here we have Donald Trump, somebody who is perfectly willing to accept the title of Messiah, and Shane Vaughn perfectly ready to apply that title to him, right? So anyways, that's the situation. That's Shane Vaughn's belief. That should explain to you why Shane... Oh, my... Okay, I did not mean to do that. That should explain to you why Shane Vaughn believes that Donald Trump is the Messiah. Okay, now, it makes no sense to Shane Vaughn for Donald Trump for certain things to happen to him, basically. It makes no sense. A lot of the stuff that Shane Vaughn believes is based off of a quote-unquote prophecy that was prophesied, I'm whipping out the air quotes here, that was prophesied by a guy named Kim Clement, okay? Now, Kim Clement died in, I think, 2016. He lived to see Donald Trump win the election, but, that was about the end of it. He prophesied about Donald Trump all the way back in 2007. And this is what Shane Vaughn uses as the basis for his belief that Donald Trump is like this big special guy, okay? So this is Kim Clement, quote-unquote, prophesying about Donald Trump, making a whole bunch of claims about him. Now, if you remember, at the time, all the way back in, I don't know, 2007, 2008, when Kim Clement was saying all this stuff, Donald Trump had been talking about running for president for a long time. So it was not surprising to hear Donald Trump get on Twitter and suggest, hey, maybe I should run for president, you know? So with that in mind, listen to Kim Clement's prophecy in 2007 when Donald Trump was talking about this stuff all the way back then.
This that shall take place shall be the most unusual thing, a transfiguration, a going into the marketplace, if you wish, into the news media, where Time Magazine will have no choice but to say what I want them to say. Newsweek, what I want to say. The View, what I want to say.
Okay, so far, Kim Clement has basically just said, all these media networks are going to say what I want them to say. Okay.
Trump shall become a trumpet, says the Lord. Trump
Okay, that could mean all kinds of things.
shall become a trumpet.
You know what that could mean? By the way, I don't know if you saw what I just did, but in that level I just completed, if you collect every single coin, which is difficult to do, a blue mushroom house appears here and gives you an anchor, and the anchor prevents the ship at the end of each world from moving around. So anyways, what does Trump could become a trumpet even mean? It could mean like a ton of different things, right? It could mean he's a messenger. It could mean that he's going to be a loudmouth idiot. It could mean that, you know, he could be used by Satan for all kinds of stuff. I mean, there are an endless number of things that Trump will become a trumpet could possibly mean. That's the thing with these quote-unquote prophets, self-proclaimed prophets. They can say anything, and if they say stuff ambiguously enough, if they say it in such a way that, you know, people kind of wonder, they're like, they're not quite sure, they can find a pattern in it. That's what it's all about. These people like Kim Clement, like Shane Vaughn, and, you know, all these other pastors, Hank Kunneman and Kenneth Copeland and Hank, I'm sorry, I already hit Hank Kunneman. Let me think about some others. Rick Green and, I don't know, just a billion of them. They're all over the place. All these prophets are claiming this stuff with absolutely no reason to claim it, and they're just being ambiguous about everything. And the moment that something sounds like it might be kind of a little bit like maybe this applies, maybe it doesn't, they suddenly claim a victory. Like, oop, sorry guys, gotta fix that. They suddenly claim a victory. It's a W for them. You know, hey, I prophesied this. It's exactly what we're looking at with Kim Clement right now. And it's really, really embarrassing that anybody believes a word out of this guy's mouth. He's just ambiguous enough for people to be easily fooled by what he says. Didn't the you know, the Bible say something about like false prophets in the end days or something like that? Okay, so Trump will be a trumpet, right?
I will raise up the Trump to become a trumpet, and Bill Gates to open up the gate of the financial realm.
Okay, well that didn't happen. Best 2 out of 3, I suppose. And what does Trump will become a trumpet even mean, for that matter? Does that one apply? Can we count that as a W?
The church says the Lord, I will not forget 9/11.
Yeah, so this is Redding, California, April 4th, 2007. I will not forget 9/11, says the Lord, okay?
I will not forget what took place that day.
I mean, if, you know, the evangelical leaders are to be believed, everything that happened that day was America's fault for allowing gay people to exist and stuff. So they can't even get their own story straight here, seemingly.
And I will not forget the gatekeeper that watched over New York, who will once again stand and watch over this nation, says the Spirit of God.
Wait. The gatekeeper? Who are we talking about? The guy? Is he talking about Jesus right now? Isn't Jesus considered a gatekeeper? You can't get through to the Father except through the Son, right? That's what it seems like to me. And he will watch over New York because he's Jesus and he watches over everything, right?
It shall come to pass that the man that I place in the highest office shall go in whispering my name. But God said when he enters into the office, he will be shouting out by the power of the Spirit, for I shall fill him with my Spirit when he goes into office, and there will be a praying man in the highest seat in your land will be a...
So he's saying that the guy that he hasn't even said a name or anything yet, really, except to say that Trump will be a trumpet, whatever the hell that means. But he's saying that this person that he puts into office is going to go in kind of claiming to be a Christian, but by the time he exits the White House, he's going to be hooked on evangelicalism. Okay.
Praying president, not a religious one, but I will fool the people, says the Lord. I will fool the people. Yes, I will. God says, the one that is chosen shall go in, and they shall say, he has hot blood. For the Spirit of God says, yes, he may have hot blood, but he will bring the walls of protection on this country.
I mean, I don't even know what any of this means. This could mean a billion things, and that's really what this whole grift is all about, right? Say stuff that could mean literally anything and get people to believe that you know what you're talking about. Be ambiguous enough that people believe that you have some special insight, when you could literally mean anything. You could apply this to anything. Absolutely anything. That's what's happening right now. This is all the way back in 2007, okay? And this is used as the basis for the claim that Donald Trump's White House bid or whatever was prophesied, and that he was God's chosen man, or whatever you want to call it.
Greater way, and the economy of this country shall change rapidly, says the Lord of hosts. Listen to the word of the Lord. God says, I will put at your helm for 2 terms a president that will pray, but he will not be a praying president when he starts. I will...
Uh-oh, did you hear that? For 2 terms? That's awfully specific. See, things start to fall apart when they get specific. Donald Trump did not get 2 terms. He lost, fair and square. There's no other way to interpret this. This is a false prophecy. He lied. He claimed to have God's voice when he did not. You know how I know that? Deuteronomy 18:22. If what they say does not come to pass, they're a false prophet, and you shouldn't be alarmed. It's an extremely important verse for Jehovah's Witnesses exiting the religion. This guy just lied to us. He claimed that Donald Trump, well, he didn't even name Trump except to say that he was a trumpet, whatever the hell that means. He claimed that this person that was going to enter the White House, what was it? Hold on.
A president that will pray.
Yeah, he said he's going to get 2 terms, right? Well, just being generous and assuming he's talking about Trump, that's false. He didn't get 2 terms. He lost to Joe Biden. So we're kind of at a stalemate here, right?
But he will not be a praying president when he starts. I will put him in office, and then I will baptize him with the Holy Spirit and my power, says the Lord of hosts.
So anyways, that's the basis for the whole Trump belief system. Trump is the new Messiah. He is Jesus come a second time. Except it's not like Jesus' personality. It's just a guy that's fulfilling Jesus' role, basically. is what we're looking at here. So anyway, now that you're caught up on that, Shane Vaughn is reporting on the fact that this guy apparently filed a lawsuit against Trump, claiming that he's violating the 14th Amendment, Section 3, by running for president. Now, if you don't know that section, we're going to read it. Give it a second. We'll get there. But we're going to start about 2.5 minutes in, give or take, because that's where it really starts. Right about here. Okay. He had a really funny face, I remember. Okay. Give this a listen. This is Shane Vaughn desperately defending who he believes to be the Messiah.
Well, let's look at Article 3 of Section 14, and let's see what the Constitution says, and most importantly, what it does not say. You're going to want to share this, by the way, with...
Oh, my God. The shameless... Have you guys ever heard me say, please share my stuff, share my stuff, share my stuff? I mean, I would love it if you shared my stuff, but I don't shill it out like this dude. Like, come on. This guy's shameless, right? Oh, my God. Yes, please share my stuff. I would appreciate that very much, but it's like every 15 seconds with this dude. You'll see.
All of your friends, your patriots that are worried about this. They're talking about this now all over the news.
I mean, it's not all over the news. I doubt that most people in my audience have even heard of this. The only reason I know anything about it is because I follow QAnon circles like a hawk. And I know QAnon circles are talking about it nonstop, the 14th Amendment case. So, anyway, keep listening here. Shane Vaughn is just overestimating the degree to which anybody cares about this case.
They think they have finally got something that's going to stop Trump.
I don't know who they is. Are they in the room with us right now, Shane? And no, I don't think this case is going to stop Trump. I would love it if it did, but okay.
The poor children never learn that he cannot be stopped. So they think this is what's going to do it. They know the indictments are not going to do it because they see the handwriting on the wall. He's going to go to the Supreme Court. Everything's going to be wiped out. He will be president in less than, well, a year, some odd months.
I mean, Donald Trump being president is extremely far-fetched. I don't know how he arrived at that conclusion, but it's very shaky. Sure, Trump will most likely win the primary, the Republican primary. I'd be willing to bet he'll win the primary. But I don't believe for a second he's going to win against Biden. Entirely too much of the Republican Party hates Donald Trump and is sick of him. Doesn't want anything to do with him. Hitching their little red wagon to Donald Trump was the biggest mistake the Republican Party has ever made. It's going to tear it in two. And that's what we're witnessing right now. So, anyways, this guy doesn't believe it for logical reasons that Trump's going to win. He believes it for theological reasons. Trump must win the presidency because he's the Messiah. And his second term, as prophesied by Kim Clement in his mind, is when Armageddon will start. For real. Nerico, thank you for being a member for 11 months. Appreciate it. Hey, Owen, went to my general practitioner yesterday, and thanks science, I don't have COVID. It's just a respiratory sinus infection. That is lucky. That's fantastic news. I was a little bit worried about that. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Laughing on the floor emoji. Yeah, absolutely. Trump, oh, man, that dude's, the mugshots that we got from all of those people, not just Trump's, but Giuliani's and everything. Oh, priceless, dude. Priceless. I love it. Love everything about it. You know the sad thing about Donald Trump being mugshotted? There's a historical thing. Let me just show you here. Let me blow the screen up so you guys see what I'm looking at here. Hang on. Pull this up. Okay. This image right here. this image right here that I have pulled up. This is an image of Tupac Shakur being arrested and mugshotted and the whole 9 yards. And it was on trumped up charges. It was, there's really no legitimacy to it as far as I can tell. But it acted as a symbol of power in the movement. It acted as a symbol to show the level of police abuse, the level that white supremacists will go to stop somebody that they don't like. So we saw this picture of Tupac Shakur being arrested, and it acted as a symbol of power. I fear that that's what we're going to see happening with Trump's mugshot. I loved it. I loved seeing it, but yeah, it's being used as a symbol of power and prestige or whatever by nutcases. So anyway, Anthony Monge, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Keep it up. From Aaron Lathrop, absolutely. Do I remember Mario Paint? Oh, well, definitely. I actually have a copy of it. I don't have the mouse or anything else that goes with it, but I do have the game, which, of course, makes the game useless, kind of. But, the mouse is not that difficult to get. I could probably get a copy of it if I wanted. Or, I'm sorry, not get a copy of it, but get a mouse. I could get a mouse if I wanted. I don't think they're terribly expensive right now. It's been a while since I've looked at the prices. And every single time I look at the prices of any retro stuff, they always go up. Every time. It's like a steep incline right now. Like, retro game stuff is just getting more expensive by the day, sadly. Anyway. So, the point here is that Shane Vaughn lives in a fantasy land, a delusional fantasy land. But keep listening here.
It's coming. They feel it. They know it. So they found a little monkey in Florida.
Okay, and they, I guess, is people to the left of hunting the homeless for sport. They is people who hate Donald Trump. That's who they is, okay?
It's coming. They feel it. They know it. So they found a little monkey in Florida to try to throw the kitchen sink at President Trump. And they're doing a good job because some of you are so worried, and you should not be. And here's why. Let's look at it. This is Section 3 of Article 14 of the United States Constitution.
So right now, if you're unaware, this guy is suing to prevent Trump from running for president under Section 3 of Article 14 of the Constitution, or of Amendment 14, the 14th Amendment, not Article 14. There are only 13 articles. Anyway, one article for each colony at the time. Anyways, so the 14th Amendment. So he's going to read us the, what do you call it? He's going to read us the text of it here.
No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president, or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States, notice that word, or as an officer of the United States.
I don't understand what relevance that specific word has. Okay, so to catch us up so far, basically the 14th Amendment, Section 3, says nobody who's taken an oath to uphold the Constitution, well, it's about to say, is allowed to run for office if they've engaged in insurrection. That's the crux of the argument here, right? So far, I think we've hit nobody who's taken an oath to the United States. Go on.
they think that's where they have Donald Trump as an officer of the United States. Let's continue.
Yeah, he was an officer of the United States. What the hell are you talking about? He took an oath to the U.S. to uphold the Constitution. Of course he's an officer of the United States. Is this really like the argument that he's going to like rely on?
Or as a member of any legislature, or as an executive or judicial officer of any state, to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection. And now you know why they've used that word consistently for the last 3 years.
No, it was an insurrection. I've gone through this in great detail. It was an insurrection. That's why Stuart Rhodes has spent, or is going to be spending, the next 20 years in prison. The leader of the Oath Keepers. Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, spending time in prison. They're not going anywhere, these people, by and large. You know why? Because specifically Stuart Rhodes acted as a battlefield general. He never went in to like the Capitol. He stayed back and commanded troops under the guise of a riot. He got people whipped into a blood frenzy, and then he sent his people in with gloves to push in windows and zip tie handcuffs to take hostages when he got the opportunity and everything. And he had weapons caches all around the area that his people could grab if they needed them. You know, you need another 15 AR-15s with 2,000 rounds of ammo. We've got a weapons cache set aside right here. It's buried. All you have to do is go over there, dig it up, and bring it in to where you're going next. Stuart Rhodes did that under the direction of Roger Stone, under the direction of Donald Trump. Ultimately, this was a full-blown, this was like the style of the mafia, the exact same way that the mafia operated, where there were multiple cutouts, multiple people doing this or that or whatever else, so that the person who was actually to blame didn't take the heat for it. That's what happened. That's what this is all about. And that's what RICO was created for. That's what the RICO charge was created for. To take down criminal enterprises, criminal organizations, not just single people, not just the assassin that pulled the trigger, but the guy that hired him and the guy that paid the guy that hired him, and all the way down the chain. That's the point of RICO. And that's what Trump is facing right now. So, yeah, there absolutely, for sure, was an insurrection without a shadow of a doubt. And Donald Trump was leading it. He was commanding Stuart Rhodes on where to go next and what to do. Maybe not directly, but he gave signals through Twitter for what he wanted to happen next by saying things like, Mike Pence has betrayed us. It's time to blah, blah, blah. That was a signal to his insurrectionists, what he wanted them to do next. And they were aware of that. They knew that. Again, that's why Stuart Rhodes is spending 20 years in federal prison, okay? This is no joke. It was an insurrection attempt, whether you like that or not. And in my opinion, of course, I'm not a judge, and not even a lawyer. In my opinion, Amendment 14, Section 3 absolutely applies to Donald Trump here. I see it clear as day. I'm glad that somebody is bringing the charges.
They've had to use the word insurrection because it is a constitutional word, and this was in their agenda.
And that's actually what happened.
The whole time, in case the indictments didn't work, or rebellion against the same.
Okay, the indictments are for 100% legitimate things, legitimate crimes that Donald Trump committed. There is no, oh, we're trying to get him indicted to get him out, and that's not working, so we're going to try this now. No, that's not what's happening. And if you think it is, get help.
Or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof, but Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such a disability. Okay, let's talk about this. Because this, if you just read it on its surface, it could be a little troublesome.
Yeah, a little bit. Little bit. Yeah, it sounds a little troublesome for Donald Trump. And you know what's even more interesting? Like, the left isn't talking about this at all. Like, I haven't heard any mainstream media mention this at all. I think I heard a single mention of this lawsuit that's taking place somewhere. I don't even know where now. Oops. But the right is losing their minds over it. I'm not talking just the right. I'm talking like the QAnon right. They're losing it right now. I mean the far right. They can't handle the possibility that maybe Donald Trump would be disqualified. That wouldn't work for them because he's the Messiah. So, yeah, he has to get a second term. If he doesn't get a second term, literally everything, every piece of their ideology, everything in their life suddenly doesn't make any sense. That's what's happening right now.
A little worrisome. But before I start breaking this down for you, let me start with the obvious facts.
Please, obvious facts. Lay them on me.
Donald Trump is a citizen of the United States of America.
Sure, yes. Now he's a citizen. I mean, he's always been a citizen. Yes, everybody is a citizen of America who runs for president in the first place. Yes, he's a citizen. Yeah, he was also a citizen when he was the president.
That imperial citizenship.
Imperial citizenship? What the hell does he mean by that? What does imperial even mean? Hang on, let me look this up just to be sure. I mean, I use it in common parlance. I just want to get an actual definition. Okay, wait. Just looking up imperial. Not imperialism, just imperial. Relating to an empire. Relating to or denoting a system of non-metric weights. Okay, that's unrelated. So it's like referring to an empire.
Imperial citizenship comes inalienable rights.
Okay, we don't live in an empire. This is not an empire. And yeah, we do have inalienable rights. That is correct.
That no one can deprive him of.
Yep, that's true.
Due process under the law. Innocent until proven guilty.
Yes, that's correct. Except what he's referring to right now is a little bit more complicated than that. It's not like innocent until proven guilty isn't like a rule or like a law that we follow or something. It's more of a philosophy that our court system uses. We're going to assume your innocence until proven otherwise. If we cannot prove that you're guilty, then we will... Okay, I'm going to step back and try that again. If we can't prove your guilt, then we will let you go. Just being found not guilty is not the same as being found innocent. Two different things. In courts of law in the United States, you're found not guilty. Has nothing to do with innocence. Okay, go on.
Under the law. Innocent until proven guilty. Does anybody remember those caveats?
Oh, also, that's not exact. Like, the civil system is a little bit different than the criminal system. And Trump has been through both, so I don't know what he's referring to here.
Does anybody remember those pristine, clandestine principles that our forefathers shed blood to preserve?
Clandestine principles? Okay, I know what that word means. Let's just look it up anyway. Define clandestine. It means like secret, right? Kept secret or done secretively, especially because it's illicit. What the hell do you mean, Shane?
pristine, clandestine principles.
Those principles are secret. They're not supposed to be told. They're illicit secrets. They're like evil. They're not good. We should avoid them because they're clandestine. Is that what he's saying? What the hell is going on in this dude's head? Somebody please fill me in.
That our forefathers shed blood to preserve. So if anyone tries to use this section without Donald Trump being convicted of insurrection, they have violated, they have literally molested the very spirit of American jurisprudence.
Okay, do I need to look up the word molested here? Really? Why is he using words incorrectly so often? And he's using really weird words here. So here's the argument. Donald Trump cannot be removed from or prevented from running for office because he hasn't been convicted of insurrection in a court of law. Well, see, that's the thing, Shane. Donald Trump, that's the whole point of this case, would be to determine if he did commit insurrection or not. It doesn't the civil system and the criminal system are two completely different things. You need two different burdens of proof. You need two different everything. So anyways, that's what the system would do. It would prove that he committed an insurrection. And then it would disqualify him if that were proven in this case. Now, has he been charged with insurrection specifically so far? I'm not sure. Maybe. Has Trump been charged with insurrection? Probably sedition at most. Probably more just RICO charges than anything. What were his charges? Let's see. What charges does Trump have? I'm looking for all of the charges. Okay, so we've got 2 felony counts, including 1 conspiracy count, of obstructing an official proceeding under 18 U.S.C. subsection 1512. All right. That's under the January 6th insurrection case. Felony count of conspiracy to defraud the U.S. and felony count of conspiracy against rights under 18 U.S.C. 241. Right, okay. So, the word insurrection isn't in there, I suppose, but it doesn't mean that, you know, this isn't referring to an insurrection. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. It's like Trump claiming that he was found innocent of collusion with Russia. No collusion. Well, that's not true, first of all. He definitely colluded with Russia. That's what the Mueller report showed us, that he did in fact collude with Russia. If you doubt me on that, go read it. Go read the Mueller report. Dead serious. And second, collusion is not actually in the criminal code. That's not what he would be charged with if it was proven, which it was. It's just the recommendation by Robert Mueller, the guy who ran the investigation. The recommendation is not to charge a sitting president with a crime. So he didn't get charged. And Bill Barr was involved in there somewhere. So, yeah. Anyways, Bill Barr got his hands on the Mueller report before anybody else, and he kind of poisoned the well by making claims that it exonerated him when it absolutely did not in any way. But that's exactly what's happening right now. It's the same collusion tactic right now. Donald Trump was guilty of collusion, without a shadow of a doubt. But running around claiming that he didn't commit collusion seems to have worked pretty well for him in the public. Every time they hear Russia, 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 they think no collusion. That's part of his propaganda, right? And that seems to be what Shane Vaughn's doing. Listen again.
The very spirit of American jurisprudence.
So it's violating the spirit of American jurisprudence unless he's found guilty of insurrection. He must be found guilty of insurrection in a court of law, or it won't work. Ridiculous. That's what the case is for, the criminal or the civil case, to prove that. So conspiracy count, conspiracy to defraud the U.S., 18 U.S.C. subsection 371 and 1512 and 241, so on and so forth. That was for January 6th. And then the Georgia election interference case, he had 1 count of violating the RICO Act, 3 counts of solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer, 1 count of conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree, false statements in writings, false statements in writings, filing false documents, Yeah, so anyway, that was the Georgia filing that he's dealing with right now at this immediate moment. And then we've got the classified documents case. That doesn't have insurrection in it anywhere. 32 felony counts of willful retention of national defense information in violation of the Espionage Act. And then the hush money case, which is 34 felony counts of New York Penal Law, subsection 175.10, falsifying business records in the first degree. So that's what he's being charged with. Those are all of Donald Trump's charges. Sure, I suppose insurrection is not on the list anywhere. Nobody claimed that it was. That's what the civil trial is intended to prove. That the dude committed insurrection and should be prevented from running for office again. For any public office, not just president, but speaker or anything at all. I don't even want him to be like, a detective on a police force. In fact, honestly, I don't even want him to run his own money for his family's sake. He's kind of ruining that whole legacy, isn't he? But okay. Let's keep listening to Shane Vaughn and his bizarre, twisted around interpretation of this. Oh, Tabathug, thank you for being a member. I appreciate that. I think I went through what I went through what I went through in my past, probably because I downloaded a Jehovah's Witness Bible growing up. Thank you for your content. Made me realize they wanted to exemplify me. Traumatizing. Absolutely. It is. Disturbing stuff. Glad you found your way out. By the by, I have my main channel and Fireside chat channels side by side here, so sending a message to one rather than the other it doesn't really matter. I see both. Tabathug, are you going to play Starfield? I don't know Starfield. I try to play games that I'm familiar with so that I can just do it mindlessly in the background, But who knows? Maybe I'll give it a shot on my own outside of, YouTube. Congrats on 100K, Owen. Can I message you on Twitter? That being said, thank you for the message. I don't use Twitter anymore, actually. I haven't been on Twitter in like a hot minute. I don't even know. Like, I get on there to look up some very specific things, and then that's it. Yeah, I just don't really use it. So probably not a good way of getting a hold of me anymore. It used to be. If you want to get a hold of me, you have a question for me or something, the best way to get a hold of me is to leave a voicemail that's between 30 seconds and a minute. 1-800-701-8573. That's my voicemail number. Or you can go to my website, owenmorgan.com, and go to the Contact Me page and fill that little form out. That's another option. Anyways. All right, let's listen to a little bit more of this here. I'm about to, like, lose my suit. Ooh, wow. I can't believe I survived that one. Okay, let's listen.
They have violated the very intent of everything in our Constitution. The letter of...
You know, I don't know about the Constitution. I can't speak to that. But you know what I can speak to? The violation of the Constitution, all that. I don't know about that, but I certainly violated your mother.
The law must line up with the intent of the law. The intent of the law. Nothing can be done to Donald Trump.
Dude, I have no idea what he's talking about right now or how he came to this conclusion or any of that. This just sounds like complete garbage.
Unless he is convicted of insurrection, which will never, go mark it down, it will never happen.
Just like he won't be convicted of collusion. Because collusion is not a criminal offense, first of all. And second, yeah, of course he won't be charged with insurrection. You got gullible suckers to do all that for him, like Stuart Rhodes. Dude's going to spend the next 20 years in prison for Donald Trump. It's embarrassing and sad, man. Like, such a waste of life, such a waste of time, honestly. And for nothing, really. He did it for nothing.
Let me qualify that. It may happen in some of the little peon courts, the little lower, lesser, insignificant courts.
Okay, no court is insignificant. Is he saying it's not going to happen in the Supreme Court? I mean, maybe, maybe not. I guess. Courts are courts. It's the judicial system, the judiciary. So I don't know what he thinks he's talking about here.
But by the time it is appealed to the federal court and then to the Supreme Court, Donald Trump will be exonerated. So I want you to imagine with me that they were successful in promoting Article 14, section.
Not Article 14. There are 13 articles, one for each colony at the time. 13 colonies, 13 articles in the Constitution. There are a bunch of different, 26 amendments, I think. The first 10 are the Bill of Rights. The 14th Amendment is the one he's referring to right now. And it's Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. That's what he's talking about.
Section 3. Let's say that they could get by with that. And I'll show you in a moment why they can't. But let's say they could. And then a year later, the headlines all over the world read, innocent of insurrection.
Okay. No, he's not innocent of insurrection. First of all, you could at best say he's not guilty of it, or we have not found him guilty of it. At best. But yeah, he wasn't the one committing the insurrection. It was the other people. It was Stuart Rhodes and everybody else. You know who else it was? Let me show you. I'll show you who it was. Hold on. Where is it? Wait, where is it? It's hold on, let me find it.
There are enough.
This is previous.
Tomorrow night.
Your actions.
This is previous.
Okay, this may be the video I was looking for. Let's watch it.
This is previously undisclosed video of protesters illegally entering and refusing to leave the building. One of the individuals prominently shown in this video is Jacob Chansley.
QAnon shaman.
Perhaps better known as the QAnon shaman. This
Dude, I actually visited the Capitol building recently. You can't get down there. That place that Jacob Chansley is at right now is protected by absolutely absurd levels of security. You don't even know. The fact that he even reached that spot blows me away. And it's a testament to how, like, violent an insurrection this really was that they got down there. This isn't the video I was looking for. I was looking for them pushing the glass in on the window at the Capitol, but for some reason it's not coming up in my search. I don't know why. Anyways, yeah, they pushed the glass in at the Capitol, and it was violent and ugly and horrific and disgusting, and the whole thing was just not good at all. It was not good. But does Shane Vaughn care about that? No, they were working for Donald Trump, his God, effectively, his Jesus, his version of Jesus. So anything's justified in that, in his name.
World read innocent of insurrection. Ladies and gentlemen, they will have then used this section against an innocent man.
Okay, Trump is not innocent. At best, you could say he's not been found guilty of something. Again, there's a difference between not guilty and innocent, just like there's a difference between true and not true and false. Those are three different things. Not true and false are not the same. But that nuance is lost on this guy. Because he doesn't care. He just wants his God Emperor to get out of whatever problems he's in at any cost. That's what this is about, period. He lives in a fantasy land, seriously.
And I don't believe America's ready for the consequences of what that would mean in this nation. Trust me, it would destabilize the union.
Oh, the union's already destabilized. You think we haven't, like, passed that point, like, a long time ago? And it was Donald Trump's fault. It was his doing. He did that. Now, we're trying to bring criminal charges, we as in anybody to the left of hunting the homeless for sport, anybody who is not absolutely psychotic, are hoping to see criminal charges brought against Donald Trump. Because the law is supposed to be blind. It's supposed to be fair and just, and nobody is supposed to be above the law. Nobody. Not presidents, not, judges, nobody. For some reason, we've got this guy who, every time he gets in some kind of legal trouble, the person that's charging him, the prosecutor, the judges, they get threats to their lives. They have to go into protective custody and stuff. Weird how that works, huh?
That's a fact. But let's put all that aside for a moment.
Yeah, none of it was fact, but okay, let's put it aside.
And let's deal with this particular section, break it down, and I'll prove to you how Donald Trump, this article, this section does not even apply to the President of the United States of America.
Okay.
Let's break it down and explain to you why it does not apply. First of all, as we read this Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, we find there are three parts to this law, if you will.
Right, so Section 1, 2, and 3, yeah.
1, it is known as the jurisdictional element. Basically, it tells who this applies to. Any person that has previously taken an oath, which Donald Trump did take an oath.
Okay, I didn't actually read these sections, and even if I did, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't understand fully exactly what I'm reading. I can get pretty close to it, but Shane Vaughn's not a lawyer either, and he's not qualified to really be speaking on this issue, so I'm just going to try to wade my way through this understanding, to the best of my understanding, and I have to also understand that Shane Vaughn is likely lying about basically everything. So even the most trivial facts, don't trust a word out of the dude's mouth. He says the sky is blue. Go check. Seriously, don't trust anything he says. Check it.
But then it tells you who specifically this applies to. Let's look at it closely. If they have taken an oath as what? As a member of Congress. So Donald Trump's never been a member of Congress.
Well, basically, the point is if they've taken an oath as a citizen of the United States. If they've taken an oath to uphold the Constitution, that was the point. And Shane Vaughn is like looking for some weird little loophole in this situation where there doesn't seem to be one. That's why everyone is so freaked out over this, apparently, in Q circles.
Or as an officer of the United States, and I'll prove to you in just a moment, Donald Trump has never been an officer of the United States, or as a member of any state legislature. Donald Trump has never taken an oath as a member of a state legislature.
Oh, interesting. So in the amendment, they listed every branch of government as an officer of the U.S. or as a member of the legislature, the legislative branch, that's one of them, or as an executive officer, that's the executive branch, or judicial officer, judicial branch. Those are the three branches of government. So basically this is saying if you've ever been in any of the branches of government whatsoever and you've taken an oath of office, then this applies to you. That's what this is saying. Well, Donald Trump was in the executive branch as the president, and this applies to him as a result. How is Shane going to weasel his way out of this one?
Or as an executive or judicial officer.
Executive is the key here. That's the one that applies to Trump.
Of any state. Donald Trump has never taken an oath that meets those two qualifications.
Yes, he has. The executive officer. He was an executive officer. He took an oath as the under the executive branch. What are you talking about?
To support the Constitution of the United States. All right, so that's our jurisdiction. That's who this applies to. Member of Congress, null and void.
I'm sorry? Member of Congress, null and void. What? No, it listed the three branches of government. Executive, judicial, or legislative branches. If you took an oath of office, this applies to you.
State officer, executive of a state, null and void. So,
oh, he's just completely ignoring the federal government when this is a federal document. If you're executive of a state, then this applies to you, but not executive of the federal government. Are you kidding me? He just glosses right over that?
The only thing we're left with that could possibly apply to Donald Trump, which does not apply, I'm sorry about that, wrong graphic. That's the land we just bought. Let's go back and look.
Oh, wait a minute. That's the land we just bought? Hold on. What do we got here? Petting zoo. He's got petting zoo here. Check this out. He just bought some land and he intends to put a petting zoo here. And a prayer chapel. God, he's got a stupid QR code here. 30 acres. You did it, it says. Fully stocked pond. Stocked with what? I wonder. Beer? Is it stocked with beer? You just go swimming in this pond and you come up with beer? Home of Hope? How is that different from prayer chapel? I wonder. Playground? Equestrian stable? Okay. Could have just said horse stable. Why'd you have to go all the way out and use the official name equestrian stable? Okay. Equestrian stable it is, I suppose, instead of horse stable. Gardens, Widows and Elders Tiny Home Community. So I guess he's going to build tiny homes for widows and elders. Fascinating. And then there's going to be a cemetery. Wow. Okay. Dude's filthy rich, by the way. I mean, I'm sure I didn't need to point that out, but like I said, he just bought this land, and he intends to build all this stuff up to and including a petting zoo on it. His subscriber count on like Telegram and YouTube and wherever else isn't that high. Okay, his subscriber count is pretty tiny, you know, few thousand, 6,000, 10,000, 20, 30, somewhere in that vicinity. But, you know, it's nothing to sneeze at, of course. But these are people that are, like, in person a lot of the time. They'll, like, show up at his church and donate. It's very different from having, like, 300, 400,000 subbies on a YouTube channel who don't really have any investment but to just watch a video every now and then, you know. Shane Vaughn's got, like, all these donators to his church, 6,000 donators. You know, they put $10 in per month, and you've got $60,000 a month. Is that right? 6,000, 60,000? Yeah. $60,000 a month, okay? That is insane money. If, you know, your mega church, which he appears to have, is donating only $10 a month, which you know they're doing more than that. So, anyways, that's an interesting little graphic he gave us. Okay, let's listen to the rest of this here. I got to wrap it up pretty soon.
About that wrong graphic. That's the land we just bought. Let's go back and look one more time and see the only possible.
I'm just. Why did he have that, anyways? Why did he have a picture of the land he just bought that was labeled and said, "You did it" in the top right corner? I don't understand what the point was, but okay, whatever.
Right there where it says officer of the United States. That's what we need to find out.
He was an officer of the United States, Trump was. He was in the executive branch, which is explicitly listed in that in Article 14 there. I'm sorry, in Amendment 14, Section 3.
Is Donald Trump an officer, or was he rather, an officer of the United States? The
Yes.
answer is no.
He was the president. How do you become more of an officer than that?
I'm going to prove it so that you can prove it to your friends.
Please.
And know what you're talking about. Donald Trump has never been an officer, nor will he ever be an officer of the United States of America as the president. Now, let me show you what does apply to the president of the United States of America.
Okay.
It is specifically the impeachment clause. And this is the only law that applies to the president.
Okay, this isn't a law. This is a constitutional amendment, first of all. Or maybe it's an article of the Constitution. I'm not even sure exactly where impeachment falls. If it was, I don't think it was an amendment. I'm sure they would have put in a little thing to make it possible to remove a president. Like, they didn't have to amend the Constitution for that, I imagine. Anyways, is it even in the same amendment? I'm not sure. Either way, Trump was an officer of the United States. He was in the executive branch. Of course he was. What are you talking about? How are you trying to convince people he wasn't, and with a straight face? This is insane.
Specifically, it says the president, the vice president, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Now, I want you to notice the spirit of the law. Even the impeachment clause says that he cannot be removed from office for an accusation, but he must be convicted.
That's correct.
Why? Because that is the spirit of American jurisprudence.
Okay, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Innocent until proven guilty. That's the whole point here. Yes. You must be considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Now, the court of public opinion, that's a totally different thing, baby. But the court of law, you are innocent until proven guilty. Now, Donald Trump is going through this system right now. Apparently, he's being sued, basically, civilly, in a civil court to prevent him from running for office, claiming that he's violating the 14th Amendment by running. That's the process. That's what we're going through. That's the thing. That's what this is. Okay, there is no, like, he's saying you have to prove that he did the blah, 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 whatever. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Are you kidding? We're going through the process to prove that he violated the law and doesn't have a right to run. How is this going over this dude's head? Is it? Is it going over his head? Or is he just completely full of it? Is he just like lying because he enjoys it? Is this some kind of is he trying to catch Donald Trump's attention with his ridiculous legal arguments that'll get him nowhere? Certainly get Trump nowhere if he ended up bringing those to a court of law. It's just absurd, like on every level. Every last bit of this is absurd. That's what the argument sounds like to me, right? That's what he's arguing. Donald Trump was not an officer of the, of the government because he was the president, and the president isn't an officer of the government. The president is the president, and that's very different. Well, that's simply false. And also, what was the other thing?
Why? Because that is the spirit of American jurisprudence.
Oh, and that he hasn't been proven guilty. Yeah, I know. We're going through that process right now. This is insane. This guy is insane. He'll do anything to convince himself and his audience and everybody else, if possible, that Trump is just the nicest guy on planet Earth, nicest guy alive, and he's just being mistreated so badly. Poor dude didn't do anything to anybody, and he's just being hated on and mistreated by those evil Democrats, right? He's just the most honest person alive. It's honestly absurd. Does he really believe the things that come out of his mouth? I have to wonder. Absurd on every level, man. Anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comments. I think this guy is a joke of a human being, but that's just me. I guess I'm going to get off of here for now. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. It's been fun. Tabithug, thank you for becoming a member. I think I mentioned, but I just want to make sure. And thank you for all the congratulations on the 100,000 subbies on Fireside. Hopefully, if you're on Maine, you guys sub to Fireside and vice versa. Fireside's popping off right now. Hopefully, the Fireside listeners go over to my main channel, too. It's Owen Morgan on YouTube. Owen Morgan Telltale, so check that out. Anyway, yeah, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. Oh, got to get the camera. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow morning. If you want to see more stuff like this, I'm going to be covering it every Wednesday and Thursday on 10:30 a.m. to around 2 p.m. Eastern time. Okay? 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, Wednesday and Thursday. My Unfiltered channel. Check that one out, too. That's where I'll be live streaming. All right? All right, thank you guys for coming. I will see you guys next time, okay? All right, have a good one, everybody.